Hi guys, welcome back. I swear, I got it under control. I got it under control. Lucky is both happy and kind of frightened, and I'd actually raised my hand, said, "Feel in the spirit," and he just kind of looked at me really scared, like, "What's going on with it?" I guess I've been trying to find something from the past. So let's talk about when I was a super Christian. I was not only a Catholic, I was a super Christian. I was more Christian than you, I'll tell you right now. I was the most Christian to ever Christian. I was probably more Christian than Jesus. It's so weird, that's blasphemy. But I was doing this better. You know, you are the super Christian when you're looking at Jesus doing something in the Bible and going, Lord, let me tell you how you should have done that. When you know more than Jesus, you have definitely reached God tier of Christianity, because you're looking at God going, let me tell you what you did wrong. See, I know more than you. You're willing to walk up to your deity and do that? Good luck. I was super Christian. I was super, super DC talk, Carmen CDs, 900 books on Jesus, angels, all from all the flavors of Christianity, because Catholicism wasn't, God tier for me. I had to go more extreme. Um, you guys know I've talked about in the past. I felt like God was calling me. I felt like he was calling me to the priesthood, and obviously Roman Catholics don't have female priests. And I couldn't see being a nun. I was like, no, it feels like I was already starting to feel like it feels like women are like made to go live in convents and do this, but the men get all the power. So I was like, no, I feel like I'm being called to be a preacher. And so I went off on my amazing super Christian adventure, complete with Bible that I carried around and cross jewelry if it wasn't a dove or a lion, because those were the only things I was allowed, and Christianizing everything. You guys would have ran away from me. I would have been that woman that you all see on Facebook, and you would have been like, this is what's wrong with Christians. I was her. I was her. I had my wall of crazy. If you go into a Christian store, and I'm sure they haven't changed since my time, they would have these bumper stickers that weren't bumper stickers because those are impure. I'm not quite sure why, but they are. So bumper stickers are impure. It's decorating. It's decorating your vehicle, adornment of the vehicle. So of course you couldn't do it. And Lucky's like, it's scary that you can do that. But you would get them, and I called it my Jacob's ladder, and I called it my stairway to heaven. And as you can imagine, my parents were getting worried about me. Your parents want you to become religious, but not so religious that you're like a cult of one. And they come in these rainbow of colors, and it would have motivational sayings like, even if it had only been you, Jesus would have died anyways. Killed much. And, God loves you, Jesus loves you, all this, like a rainbow of it. Posters, Christian posters everywhere. Since I'm Catholic, holy relics, everything from third class to first class, because bits of dead people show God you love him. Looking back, I'm like, huh. And sand that Jesus walked on. I should have thought of that one, but I was like, sand that Jesus walked on. They probably got it from a construction site, but they swore, and it's why people use the word sheep as a bad term, because they swore Jesus walked on this sand. Common sense tells you they got it from construction site, but it came with a certificate that said it came from Jerusalem and everything. There's probably no sand left in Jerusalem, and bits of the cross and everything else, and it was something. There were bits of the cross out there. And my mother was trying to help me dial back, saying that a nun had told her, because I respect nuns, don't I, that there was enough pieces of the cross out there to build a church. Meaning, that just because somebody says something is something, don't believe it. And I was too gone. I was like, that nun is sacrilegious. This is part of the cross. I, I was bad. I was out of control, and I'd be talking to God and Jesus, and I was getting feedback in the prayers like, you can go read a book. You can go watch a regular TV show. You don't have to do this 24/7. I was actually getting feedback from God of like, you're doing a little much. I love you, and sure, I'll spend all day with you, but you do know you have other options. It wasn't, I'm rejecting you. It was, this is a bit much. Gonna walk away, have a coffee. Why don't you do that too? Go have a coffee, not talk to me for 5 minutes. It's okay. Are you sure, Lord? Are you sure? I was like, yeah, go have coffee. Are you okay? And I was praying intensely to God to send me a man as religious as I was, because I was totally not going to admit I was gay. I was just a Christian who was being tempted by the devil. And this gets better and better. I wanted God to send me a man who was as intensely religious as I was. And I was getting back distinctly, I can't find him. He doesn't exist. And I was like, he has to exist. Send me this godly man. Can you imagine me having a YouTube channel if that had worked, if I had stuck with Christianity? And I'm just freebasing here. Can you imagine me having like 7 or 8 kids, because he would probably found me a Catholic if he did? And having this channel talking about Jesus and the angels and everything. And I'm like, I just like to talk about this stuff. And look, he's in the background backing slowly away like, girl, what wrong with you? And I said, it's I can still conjure up that feeling instantaneously. All I have to do is think about that room, or think about Jesus or the angels, and it's like, and all this, like, that it comes from down below. But, but it's like, all this light starts coming out of anywhere, everywhere, and anywhere, and Jesus and the angels. And I said, look, he's like, please stop it, you're scaring me. And I said, it's a thing, isn't it? It's like, it's great, but I think what deconverted me was, it's great to be able to do that on command, and to be able to do it whenever you want it, like God on tap. But I said, you have to come out and live in the real world eventually. Just because you're there with Jesus and the angels, it doesn't mean like they're going out and earning an income. Saint Michael didn't go work at McDonald's and bring his paycheck home. I gained this sort of sense like, you want me to work at McDonald's? Why? But anyhow. I was talking to them about it, and I said, I think that's why I feel so hurt now when Christians, because believe me, I was way more Christian than they'll ever be, when Christians tell me, oh, they'll pray for me, and God will do this stuff. I said, I don't think I'm mad at them, though I am, because you should do actions, you Christian lurkers. If at all possible, you should back up your prayer with action. Do absolutely anything. Visit a person, cook them a food, drive them somewhere, pull together money with 20 other people to get them an Uber. Actually take part in people's lives. Just don't, go, oh, here, God, it's your problem. I get mad at God. And I'm like, I spent all this time in crazy land, you know. I spent all this time out in the desert. I spent all this, not literally, I spent all this time reading the Bible and reading all these books, and, going through every flavor of Christianity. Why when 22 people trust you, Lord, why don't you come, what would I see myself as? A prophet, a saint, a preacher? What the exactly do I see myself as? Why don't you come and personally do something for me, Lord? And look, he's like, I'd be careful if I were you. And I said, I think I personally take it as an offense, because, a religion like Christianity can breed that if you're doing that, if you're on Team God and you're all the way, shut up, you're all the way to the top, destroying his metaphor, you don't want to hear it. that God, prosperity gospel, God's just going to give you an outpouring. I couldn't have been more Christian if I tried. I legit could not have been more Christian if I tried. I could out Christian you. To this day, just hand me a Bible, give me 5 minutes, I could out Christian you. I don't even need the Bible because, if you can really fight as a Christian, you can fight without chapter and verse and, just fit in that is from the devil. I don't believe you. You have been led astray, my child. Just argue like that and you can run in circles all day long. And I said, I don't regret that time, even though I spent the what should have been the most fun days of my youth doing that. But I said, it was, I think, how I deconverted. It was the beginning of my deconversion process. I actually went super duper crazy Christian. Everything was about Jesus. And you can't sustain that. Most people can't sustain that unless they surround themselves with a group of others and they are led by someone who wants to keep sustaining that because they're probably making money off of them. Catholic priests can't put their hand out for additional money in those prayer groups and that, so I think that's why they lose interest. I hate to be cynical, but the priest with us at least was like, "Why are you people doing this? Go home, have fun." I mean, the Catholic Church is a lot more casual about faith than other places. It really is. Like, we could have these prayer groups and everything, but the priest didn't want involved. He should have told us something. And when you can't do that, when you can't go to church once a week and then just live in the normal world for 6 days plus every hour you aren't in church on Sunday, it's the paradigm has to break down somewhere. The paradigm has to break down somewhere. And I just, by the grace of God, I guess, I just never occurred to me to go to the Methodist church that's right in town or to go to any of the other churches in town. And there wasn't internet at the time, at least not in this area. Well, I had it, but I don't know. It wasn't working. And I've noticed the things that about Christians that drive me nuts are the things that I did, like making everything about Jesus, like everything about Jesus. Like if they're into Beanie Babies, it's about Jesus somehow. If they're into Pokemon, it's about Jesus somehow. If they're into Marvel movies, it's about Jesus somehow. I used to do that. I used to do that. So I think that's why, like with the gods, kind of coming down off that super high of Christian energy, I try not to do it. I try not to make everything about Loki. On purpose, I talked to him about that. I said, "Do you want that in your life? Because I can go there with you. Do you want it?" No. Um, I got this really worried. No. And some people might get a different answer, but I got no because you would be impossible to work with. I said, "Do you want me to make everything about you? Because I can." Yeah. And I got no back. I do almost everything I end up doing ends up being involved with the gods, so I have it, but not at that intensity level because there's no threat of hell at this point. So there's no threat of hell. There's no threat of if you don't do this, I shall visit my wrath upon you. It's more like if you don't do this, okay, fine, I'll go pout. It's not. It can't reach that level of intensity, that fever pitch, because there's no if. By the way, if you're not doing all this, I'm going to burn you forever. And it's not like that. Our gods, if we fell out of love with them, if we stopped working with them, sure, they try to get our attention, and ones like Odin might get hyper aggressive about it, but at the end of the day, if we're truly out of love with them, or we truly lost our faith, or whatever, they're not going to force the issue. They're not going to force the issue. And, it just Odin had asked me what I had to get off my chest, and I thought it was all this negative stuff, because usually that's, negative stuff. But I said, there are times when I still miss that. I miss that high level of energy. I miss being up here because it felt really great. It was like a high 24/7 because anytime you started dip down, pick up your cross, pray some more, pick up a Bible, pick up the rosary, go around to all the saints. It never had to end. You could take Jesus everywhere because you could wear a cross or whatever, and Jesus everywhere at the theme park, everywhere. Jesus at the movies. Those kind of Christians are like, "Oh Lord, I'm sorry he said that." I was that kind of Christian. And I don't think the gods care. if we're truly happy and we're truly healthy where we are. So it's not a critique of people that do that. But for me, it was like the first step of the wheels just going off the bus, and I couldn't maintain that level. I could not maintain that because my family surely was not supporting it. Wonder what was going wrong with me, and like was like, "Do you need to go to mental health?" And the church wasn't supporting it, and I never found a group that supported it. So eventually, the wheels just shot off the bus, and I think from time to time you miss that. You miss being that close with a god. I'm close with Odin. I'm close with Loki. I talk to them every day, try to include them in my life, but not to that intensity. And I think sometimes you miss that intensity. I gotta bet Jesus doesn't miss that intensity. You're crazy. Thank you, dear. They don't care. If we want to spend as much time with them as possible, they don't care. And sometimes we're going off and doing our own thing, and they're the ones trying to, it feels like they're trying to crawl in your lap and have time. And I think for some of us, and this is where I get the unsubs, God will always be part of our life. Jesus will always be part of our life because if you were up that high and giving God undivided attention, this is a deity that likes this very much. I'm not trying to say anything bad. I would not. But, this is a deity that's like, yeah, sometimes they like that. So they are gods, they are deities, they are higher powers. They do enjoy this. And I think sometimes I miss that. Like Lornell Harris song will start playing in my head, I think is his name, of I miss my time with you, and I'm like, aw. And like sometimes it's like you think God or Jesus misses you, and you're like, aw. But it's not like to assure the pagans. It's not like a callback to church. It's not like a callback to I can't even sit in UU church and it's not like a callback to church. I think it's a callback to that relationship because obviously to maintain that high, that relationship has to be taken out into the world and put into absolutely everything. And, there are Christians that go along and they do that fairly well and they seem to be balanced, but I was the super Christian, the Christian food. Yeah, they have it. They have like Jesus shaped everything, and if it's not shaped like Jesus, they have cross shaped everything. If it's not a cross, it's a lamb or it's a lion or it's a palm or it's you will be amazed at how much stuff you can sell to Christians as Jesus food, like candies, mints, testaments. Does anybody can I get an amen from the congregation on those testaments? I know you Christians had them. Don't lie to me. And Jesus knows. And I know you had those testaments. And I know you had all that Christian candy. I know you had it because if you have ever stopped into one Christian store, they are all like, I know you had Angel something. I know you did, but those testaments, I know. You might even have a box, those tins. You might even have one somewhere and you didn't keep it on purpose. It's just like they seem to be immortal and sneak back into your house. Yeah. Um, it was something else. It was something else. And I guess in paganism, I missed that. I can't go to a store and get Loki mints. I can't go to a store and get a Gungnir shaped chocolate. I can't go to a store and get, whatever, whatever. The atheist makes some great ironic stuff, but I can't go to a store and get that. And I think I miss having that. And, if you pray, they do these things like, what would you do? If you pray in public to Jesus, people might be annoyed or whatever, but most people will ignore you. Can you imagine praying out loud to Loki or the Allfather? Especially the way some Odinists would pray. Odinist is a bad word in this country. Odin's people would pray. Yeah, like, oh, Father, and may this be horse meat. May it give us victory and lead us to Valhalla. Everybody, like, would move. The way some of us would pray, and I'm getting like, what's wrong with that prayer? You belong in Valhalla, my dear. But, I kind of miss that from time to time. I miss that kind of, well, holy lunacy, for lack of a better word. And, everybody that's in that backs each other up. Like, be fools for God, be crazy for Jesus, Jesus freak. Some of you are like, oh, Lord, you're hitting some nerves here. Yeah, right? There are 2 or 3 Christian radio stations, in this area. There are hundreds, seemingly, of straight up Christian or Christian flavored cable channels. We really don't have anything, and I think sometimes I just miss that. I miss, you can turn on the radio, you can walk. There's a place around here that I stopped going to because it got to be a bit much. I mean, they could do what they want, but they played Christian music constantly in this cafe. It's a thing here. You can walk into a place, 50% chance there is a cross in their logo. I am not kidding. Or they are playing Christian music. I think I kind of miss that. And, the other people that are playing secular music kind of like edgy, like, yeah, I'm playing secular music. I'm badass. And, it's kind of weird. It's like secular should be the default normal, but not in this area. Um, you know, um, I think I miss that. I think I miss everything being a sign from the angels or Jesus or something. And I'm not saying our gods don't send signs as often, but I think that's what really disappointed me about that book too, because, you can only repackage Christianity to a certain point to where you have just got off the bus and you're not on Team Jesus anymore. We all agree. I felt like I was breaking up with my best friend. I remember telling Jesus, I was going to work with these other gods, and I always felt and telling God. And I remember, like, I'm in meditation and I'm talking to God, and you're all like, I'm on seven right now. That's just crazy. And God didn't seem worried. And God didn't seem like God wrote the rule of you can't be here anymore. But for a while, as I was deconverting, I would feel like might as well share with you guys because I've shared every other crazy thing I've done. In these meditations, I would be leaning up against a fence, and not you, because shepherding is a huge part of the Bible. And I'd be talking to God, who looked like an old white guy, but what are you gonna do? And I'd be, I got cheers and laughter, and like, yes, that exactly. I'd be saying, Lord, I feel these other gods calling me, but if I go on this path, I can never see you again. And God would be trying to like reason with me, but like, well, I know what it says in the Bible, but have you ever considered that I didn't put up this fence, you did? And that stuck with me, and I'm like, how could God say that? God wouldn't say that. And there are Christians back there like, yes, the devil, yes, the devil. And I was like, how could God say that? But that was my legit experience. It was like you can always come home, you can always come back and visit. But I saw everything the way most Christians see stuff. You were either within God's field among the sheep, or you were out partying with the satanic goats. It's very black and white. You're with us or against us kind of religion. And I got back here, and I remember telling him goodbye. I remember telling angels and saints goodbye and like sobbing out my eyes, telling Jesus goodbye. And it took decades, but once I realized that the religion didn't own them, the, I can't say that enough. Religion doesn't own Jesus. Religion doesn't own Jesus. Religion doesn't own prayer. There are atheists that still pray. It's fascinating. I look some of this stuff up. It's not like being an atheist, they believe in God, but it's just something that makes them feel better, helps them sort out their thoughts at night. And which one was it? Penn or Teller said something about, how a placebo works even if you know it's a placebo. So, there are atheists that pray. There are some hardline atheists that don't, but and I thought you kind of come full circle. And I've wondered if I'm going to go so full circle that one day you'll come on and I'll say, "The Lord spoke to me," and believe me, it may happen someday. Don't panic just yet. I'm still wearing a shirt with dragons, and there's all that stuff in the background. I think you're safe for now. But I wondered if I would ever do that, and I think sometimes you come to crossroads where when I lost my brother. Um, for legit, for real, for serious. I was just waiting on God to get one of those people that apparently prayed for me to do one thing. I was waiting for God to do one thing, no matter how small, a card, a call, um, something more than just praying for me, and I would know God wanted me back. I was that close, guys. I was that close. And I keep it real with you guys. And of course, not one person did anything other than pray for me. Not one phone call, guys. Not one card. Nobody said, "Oh my God, you lost your brother. We know you don't drive. We know you have limited vision. We know you don't have the money to pay us back, but would you like a ride to Punxsutawney to see where your brother was? Do you need this? Do you need that? Not one meal was cooked for me, not anything. And I knew they did this because I wasn't part of their team. It's kind of the way they punish you to try to force you to be on their team. But I was waiting on God to have somebody do something to give me a sign. And I thought, maybe that is God's sign that do you really want to be with people that you have to play on their team to be with them? And it was like, no, I'm never going to call you back again to exclusive worship. If you were waiting on me to give you a sign, there's your sign. They did nothing at all. And I was angry at God for a while. So while I'm running this channel, I'm angry at God. And then I realized that that was God's response. It was, no, I'm not calling you back to where you were before. I'm not calling you back to Team Jesus. And I think that's why I was talking to someone who was, in some ways, she wasn't as crazy and intense as I was, but she was pretty close. And I think I was trying to look for the door back in, and you can't. I could probably do it on my own, like go crazy and change this into a Christian channel right this very moment. Don't worry, I'm not going to, because I believe in the other gods. But it was one of those things. It was one of those things where I think it was like, no, I don't need you to do this. I don't need you to do all these things. But I don't know. Maybe it was just that most people figure, they'll throw it in God's lap and they'll walk away. It could be that too. I like this thing recently where, it's this choir saying about one day we'll do more than pray, like literally anything other than just praying. Literally anything. Had anybody done anything, I mean, the smallest, tiniest gesture, like a card or a note in my mailbox or anything, I would be going to church right now. So, as I said, I've kept it real with you guys. So, that is how close. And Odin's like, I bet some pagan god blocked them. You should be very grateful, my dear. Mm-hmm. So. But I keep it real with you guys, and I realize that's what I needed to get off my chest, that I missed that sometimes, and I'm gonna hear the unsubs now. But I think it's okay, and I think that people that grew up in Christianity should admit when they missed that, and they certainly do it over on ex-Christian and ex-Catholic Reddit, all the Reddits. You miss that. You miss that fellowship. You miss all the trinkets. You miss the comfort of being in the majority, and everywhere you go, everybody's catering to your religion. And I'm not saying that in a mean way. It's when you're Team Jesus, it's great. Go sit in a cafe, hear Christian music. Go into a store, buy a Bible. Go into most stores, and there's religious something or other, or something with a card on. It's very nice to be on Team Jesus. Almost the whole world spins your way, except for those places where they haven't heard about Jesus, and we're going to convert them someday. So, I think sometimes you miss it. I think sometimes you do. So, if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. There is a tip jar, and there's the Patreon below, and I will see you guys later. Bye bye.